All righty. Good evening. Is this on? Can you hear it? All right. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Whoa. All right. A couple quick thank yous before you watch our video and get going with the coaches. Our video tonight is by Wells Watson. We thank him for that. Also want to thank Mr. O'Lear for streaming all of the home contests throughout the year, which is nice for a lot of parents who weren't able to be on campus to see games. Mrs. Henderson for the letters you're about to receive. She printed those up for us. Also, Mr. Good and his crew. It was a pretty crazy spring with rain, lightning, a little bit of snow, getting the fields ready. Also, Mr. Nurmi for being really flexible in the dining hall for early dinners, late dinners, things of that nature. Also, Jeff, Bonnie, and Andy for all their work getting laundry done, keeping the field house clean. Mr. Eve for taking care of all the athletes. And Mrs. Muster for all of her help taking care of things back in the office. First up will be Mr. Muster's remarks, varsity baseball coach, after Wells Watson's video. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Spahn. I'd like to give out a special thank you to Andy Muffley, who does a unique thing for our sport. He announces our home games for us, plays music. He adds a wonderful dynamic to our home games, and I want to take this opportunity to thank him. I'll be brief, I promise, and I'm pleased to get us started this evening. I'd like to congratulate, all of those people today who are going to be recognized for their accomplishments on the field.
I'm inspired.
Okay. I'd like to offer Mr. O'Lear, who's streaming this live right now, the opportunity to come with us to Florida. We'd love to have him stream those games instead of having us hold the iPad in the dugout trying to stream those games live. But it's a great segue to thank our parents for allowing their sons the opportunity to take that Florida trip. This has become a very special part of our program, and I never take for granted the sacrifices that our families make to allow our boys this wonderful opportunity. I actually have an idea. I would like to move our entire school to Florida for the months of March and April. At least the baseball players and their families, the coaches and their families, and our schedule. What a 6-week span we had this season, 6 or 7 week span we had with the weather. Piggybacking off of Mr. Spahn, I'd like to also wish all of the mothers here today and who are watching a happy Mother's Day, except for one, Mother Nature. Mother Nature wasn't very cooperative this year, to be sure. You know, I love to spend time outside. One of my favorite all-time activities is to ice fish. And this February, when we were practicing on our field in 70-degree weather, and I wasn't ice fishing, I knew that Mother Nature was going to win this spring, and she certainly did. We went 7-9 this year, if you count the 3 games that we played in Florida. I think more importantly, we were 7-6 when we got back, but we only were afforded the opportunity to play 13 games. You know, baseball's meant to be played. You practice in the preseason, and then you play. And it's so very challenging to continue to improve when we had long gaps where we weren't able to play. There was one stretch in the season where we went 18 days and we only played 2 games. And that's very challenging in the sport of baseball. But as our players know, we make no excuses. You know, we control what we can. And like I said, we were 7-6 in April and May, won 7 of the last 10, and went 4-1 at home. We wish we could have played more home games. We really enjoyed playing at home, and we were most successful when we played at home. Our fans were outstanding. Student body participation was awesome. And again, having Coach Muffley and that beautiful facility, it all makes for a wonderful baseball setting. You know, right now I would think that we would be positioned to do very well. If you look over the course of the last few seasons, we would literally just be passing the halfway point with the number of games that we've actually played. And, you know, as we have gotten better each of the last few weeks, I think we would have an opportunity to do well if we had a chance to play in our state playoffs. Unfortunately, our calendar doesn't permit us to do that, but we hope that at some time here soon, as the calendar shifts again, we get that chance to go back and participate in that. We had a very young team this season with 3 freshmen making the varsity team, 2 of them playing in all 16 games that we played. In our final game yesterday, we started 2 freshmen, 3 juniors, 2 sophomores, and 2 seniors. 2 other underclassmen had an opportunity to play, so 9 total in a 15-run shortened game, which we won against a very respectable 5 large A school in Brashear. I think the future holds promise. We've already begun to talk about next year, and with the core of our returning players intact, so many boys who will continue to play baseball throughout this summer. Again, I think that the future holds well, and we're very excited. I cannot thank my assistants enough, Coach Kwiatek and Coach Colella. Coach Colella has been a great addition to the program. His energy and enthusiasm for the game is unmatched. Plus, he's young. Coach and I are old. And it's a good situation. He still thinks he's a kid, and actually, so do the umpires and some of the other teams. Coach Spahn at times has made comment that, you know, why do those baseball coaches have to wear uniforms? And I don't know, yeah, ask Abner Doubleday, but we do. And because Coach is in a uniform, other players, umpires make him wear the mask. They think he's a kid coming out to warm up our pitcher. But the kids have had a great time with him. He started winter workouts this year for us early in November with the heavy ball, long toss inside, which the indoor facility now gives us a great opportunity, and working off of the tee. And working with Coach Kwiatek, my voice of reason. I've lost track now of how many years I've coached consecutively with him, and I can't imagine ever working a season without him. Finally, a special thanks to my wife, who's had to put up with me and my constant negativity about the weather. She and Coach Spawn say I'm the only person that takes the weather personally. Most of all, I just want to thank our players. This has been a great group to work with. No complaints, not one. They gave us their best at every turn, and like I said, we can't wait until next year. So with that, I'll go to our awards. I'll ask Coach Kwiatek and Coach C to come up and help me hand those out. First, our letter winners. Like I mentioned, we had 3 freshmen. The first, Mitch Maha. Mitch hurt his toe late these last few weeks, wasn't able to participate, shows great promise. He pitched for us, played outfield, and Mitch is one of those players who will continue to play through this summer. Corbin Kohut. Yeah, stay here. Corbin's an incredibly versatile player, loves the game, batted .324 for us. Again, we'll be playing the game throughout the summer. And his brother Garris. Later in the season, Garris became our leadoff hitter, was our backup catcher, and along with Corbin, played in all 16 of our games this year. Garris hit .356 for the season. Next, sophomores, Ben Crew. Ben started every game this season. Was our backup first baseman, starting left fielder, and there's not one person on our team that works harder at his trade. He, when we asked him to become the backup first baseman, he tried to learn everything he could about playing first base. Always in the baseball room, even sometimes when he's not supposed to be, and working on the tee, trying to make himself better. Griffin Donahue. Griffin participated in 15 of our 16 games this year. He became our number 1 guy out of the bullpen, pitched 5 solid innings of relief just this last week against Indiana, and is going to be relied on heavily, especially on the mound next year. I'm going to skip the junior class, and I'm going to go to the senior class. Jacob Ramos. Jacob started in center field for us, hit 4th, 5th, or 6th in the lineup, was tied for 2nd on the team with RBIs. Again, no one works harder. From preseason workouts to off-season workouts to practice and after practice, always working to improve himself, solid, hardworking, and had a great season for us. Day Damon. Day joined us midway through the season, was able to participate in 4 games, walked, I think, every time he came to the plate, and was a pleasure to have on our team. Now I've got the junior class. A couple years ago when Aaron Magazine played for me, I had an award called the Duffy Award, and it was named after a restaurant we go to in Florida, and it's for a player who maybe isn't necessarily the best or the most gifted, but just loves the sport and loves to be around it. And that's what I feel like we have with our group of core juniors. These kids have been together for quite some time. They're always fun. They're always hanging out together. And I decided that I wanted to introduce them last. So first, Joey Chappie. First base, pitcher, kind of a streaky hitter. When he's on, he's on. Brought his ERA down. I know he's not going to want me to tell you this, but after our Florida trip and after the first game of our season, his ERA was 13 plus. But after his last 3 starts, he's got his ERA down into the low 5s and pitched outstanding Friday night through, struck out 10, walked nobody. Pitched the complete game and got us our last win of our home season. Austin Gaston. Starting catcher, number 2 on the mound, When he's locked in at the plate, he's locked in. Again, a little bit like Joey, kind of a streaky hitter. The versatility Austin provides us by being able to go from the mound to back behind the plate, back out to the mound, is outstanding, and love having him in and around our bench to talk politics. Nathan Manko. Nate is a true knuckleball pitcher. He throws a knuckler, and he's very effective. Here's what I always tell people about Nate. He simply just finds a way. Every time he was put into a game, no matter what the situation, he found his way out of the inning. Sometimes it was one pitch, sometimes it was 10 pitches, sometimes it was an inning, sometimes it was two. But he always found a way to get it done. It's a great trait to have. Ryota Mogi. Ryota moved from second base to right field, which really fit his speed well. He looked like he'd been playing there the entire season. Hit .263, had a 4 RBI game yesterday at Brashear, and was either our leadoff hitter or what we like to call our second leadoff hitter. He either hit first or he hit last, but wherever he hit, he did a great job for us. And then Max Wolfson. Max is the guy you want to have on your bench, no matter what I asked him to do. And it wasn't always just going into right field or pinch hitting or maybe being our designated hitter like he was last Friday. Max would never hesitate to help us counting pitches, keeping the book when we needed someone to keep the book. Always did it happily, willingly, and was a very important part of our team. So I think there's one person left. So before I call him up, I'll just throw out these numbers quickly. This year batted .486, had 23 RBIs, 8 home runs, and a 2.21 ERA. That was just in 16 games. I can only imagine what those numbers would have looked like in 26 games. I first saw this kid when he was in first grade. My son had a party here on campus, invited some of his classmates. My son was in second grade, and they wanted to play football out on the stadium. And I asked my son, I said, take this the right way, who's the short, pudgy kid that's like schooling everybody out there? And he goes, that's Omar. He's the best athlete in the school. I said, Zach, he's in first grade. He goes, he's the best athlete in the school. And from that point on, I watched this boy play multiple sports at Valley. At Kiski, his freshman year at Seminole Ridge with bases loaded and their cleanup hitter at the plate with a 3-2 count, as a freshman, threw him a curveball and made him look silly. I can't tell you what I exactly said to Coach Kwiatek at that point, but at that point we knew we had someone very, very special. At Kiski, he's played in all 80 games that we've played in his 4 years, and he's played in every inning of every game except one inning against Summit Academy this year, which I let him sit on the bench. Yesterday, he hit another home run, 8 for the season, his third off of the same poor Brashear pitcher who we've seen twice in the last week. In the last 30 years, I don't know that there's been a better baseball player at this school. Going on to play Division I baseball at Canisius, maybe there you'll hit 90 miles an hour. I don't know. But letter winner, 4-year letter winner. If we were going to give an MVP or a most improved, we're just going to roll that all up and just give the coaches award to Omar Ward. The baseball team. Thank you. And now Omar will say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you all had safe travels to the award ceremonies tonight. I never thought 4 years ago today, after playing Mercersburg and losing by a score of 12-2, that I would be standing here as captain of the Kiski Prep varsity team. After our loss to our rivals, I talked to Danny Wukic, who was a senior captain at the time, and I said to him, "You know, Danny, I really think I want to transfer to Mercersburg." He looked at me and told me that he thought of doing the same thing when he was a freshman. Then he told me something that will stick with me my road down here at Kiski. You do not want to go to Mercersburg. They're not Kiski at all. You will come to realize that soon enough. They do not have what Kiski has, and that's brotherhood. You only get that from a school like Kiski. Hearing Danny say that to me was a big role as to why I'm standing here in front of you all today. He made me realize that it's not about where you're at, but it's about what you put into where you're at. Well, before our season started, we landed in Florida for spring training, and I called Zach Mustard, who was the team captain last year. I said to him, "Zach, it's going to be a rough one." What he said back to me kept me going for the rest of the season. He said, "You'll be good, kid. This is your team. You've been a vital piece since your freshman year. Just keep being great." Having Zach's words of encouragement led me into the season very confident with that mentality. Now on to our season. As you may all know, we did not win that many games. And I can tell you that next year, Coach Mustard has a great group of guys, and they have a lot to look forward to for the next couple of years. I could not have imagined our team joining together as brothers as much as we have with all the different characters throughout the room. From TJ climbing over the fence trying to snag a fly ball and eventually it landing into play, or us trying to tell Garrison Corbin apart, which ultimately came out to be Corbus, which we found out they aren't very fond of. We started our season out in Florida and had two very tough opponents, Okeechobee High School and Seminole Ridge. That set us to an 0-3 start. Coming back up north for the remainder of the season. We had another loss at Greensburg-Salem the next day, and after that, losing both games in our doubleheader to Mercersburg. We sat at an 0-6 record before claiming our first win against Carn City, then winning again against Wickley. Just to add on to that, how much of a roller coaster season that we did have, at the end of the year, we ended up not being able to play 12 games due to the weather. And as you may all know, Coach Mustard was not too happy. Finishing off our season, we ended up losing to the Hawkins School, Altoona High School, and Indiana Area High School, while winning against Summit, 2 against Leechburg, and another 2 against Brashear. We're seen as a team with a 7-9 record, but how much potential this team really has cannot be shown on a scorecard. Hopefully, we are able to schedule another game or two next week and get to reaching our goal of 500. But if not given the chance, I want to tell all of my teammates that I was blessed to play with this year that you are all my brothers. And I cannot thank you guys enough for helping me become a better person, ball player, and leader. And to our coaching staff, Coach Mustard, Kalila, and Kwiatek, thank you guys for having the patience for being able to deal with all the mishaps and shenanigans that we put you guys through. And one special message I'd like to give to Coach Mustard: all rap music is not the same. Thank you and have a nice night. Here's Mr. Yoder. I'd like to introduce our track coach, Mr. Yoder.
Good evening. I'm going to be fairly quick tonight. Figured usually on the track, the fastest event is 100 meters. That goes in about 11 seconds, so I figured I'd talk about 11 seconds. And I figured that might be a little bit too quick. Maybe it takes about 12 minutes for some of the athletes to finish the longest event. So I'm going to go somewhere between 11 seconds and 12 minutes. If I'm over 12 minutes, somebody throw something at me. All right? So first of all, yeah, and I know you will. I want to thank a lot of people here to start with. First of all, my assistant coaches. I couldn't do anything without them. I have Coach Argos, Coach Signetti, Coach Hunt, Coach Forsyth, Coach Ross. Those guys did all the hard work. All I did was just walk around and pretend like I was busy. We were able to host 3 home meets this year, and we were only able to do that because of all the help that was provided by the Kiski community. So all the faculty members, students that helped with that and helped make those meets a success, we really did appreciate that. And it was always a nice afternoon out there that sometimes ran into the evening. Also, I want to thank some of those boys that were on the team this year, worked in practice every day, but were not able to perform well enough to earn a letter. I know some of those boys are here tonight, and I know that next year they're going to be up here on the stage receiving some things. So guys like Reese and Justin and Omari, we really appreciate all your hard work tonight. So next year, I know you're going to be up here. You're going to be big point scorers for us. So just keep at it. Keep working hard. As far as our record this year, we had 3 wins, 3 losses. I guess that makes us 500, right? We finished in about the middle of the large invitationals that we went to. We were right in the middle of those. So we had we'll say an okay season. Not as strong as we would have liked, but next year's a new year, and we're hoping to get a little bit stronger then. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call all the names of the young men that did earn a letter this year. I just want you all to come up on the stage, and I'm going to say a few things about each one of you, which you may or may not like. All right, so just come on up if you would, please. And I know that a couple guys are off campus for some things, so if they're not here, if you're not here, don't come up. All right? So, all right. Michael Boback, Ryan Brett, Divine Buckram, Jalen Cooper, come on up, fellas. Brennan Crawford, David Diaz, Wyatt Gillespie, Jabril Hammond, Eric Humphreys, Terrence Kimball, Josh Cribble, Sterling Myers, Dan Ritten, Luis Rodriguez, Micah Tillman, DeJuan Webb, Nico Wiley, and Bobby Yu. Come on up, fellas. While these guys are up here, and before I give them their certificate of achievement here for a letter, I'll just say a couple words about each one here, just so you know what they meant to the team. Down on the end, we have Ryan Brett. Ryan was one of the most dependable guys that we had all year. Strong desire to do well. Unfortunately, this year he got some injuries on him. Always willing to work. I think that anybody that knows Divine knows that his work ethic is at the top of the list. We wish we could have had him healthy all year. Dan Ritten's another guy, very, very coachable. Listens to everything we tell him to do, always looking for ways to make himself better, always asking for how do I do this, how do I do that, how do I get better at this. Those are the types of things that we like to see, and by asking those and doing what we say, he is indeed going to get better and be a fine pole vaulter someday. Sterling, been with us for a while, would do anything we asked him to do. He'd run the hurdle, except for maybe the high hurdles, all right? Intermediate hurdles, long jump, he'd run any race that we'd ask him to do, and always did it with an attitude that said, oh yeah, I can do that, and just went and did it. Oh, Mr. Wyatt, I think he's broken every bone in his body this season, but he still was able to compete, was our best pole vaulter, our best high jumper, and probably our craziest all-around individual. All right. Again, injuries sort of hurt us. Our javelin specialist, Jabril. Jabril tried many different events at the beginning of the year, finally focused in on the javelin, was able to qualify to go to our state championship meet in the javelin, so he'll be going with us this weekend to throw there, so he's come a long ways. Luis and Bobby, I'm going to talk about those two at the same time. Two young freshmen, very new to track, and I threw them into the lion's den this year. I threw them in events that take the most amount of effort, most amount of discipline, and asked them to compete against guys that they should not have been in the ring with, but they hung in there and completed all, well, I was going to say 15 rounds, but it was only 8 laps, and they did a splendid job. Dewan, been with me now for 4 years, has probably done a half dozen different events on the track, everything from the 800 meters, 400 meters, high hurdles, intermediate hurdles, long jump, and you probably did a couple other things back there that I can't remember. Always out there, excellent practitioner of drills and forms, understands what it means to do proper form to get yourself better. Nico, also one of those coachable guys, always willing to work extra, always wanted to do more, always asking for advice and saying, you know, what's this part look like? Can I practice this end of my triple jump? Can I do this? Can I do that? When can we go and do this? And he did all that with a banged up knee, which as many of you know is probably bothers him a little bit, but did a great job. All right. Also, while we're up here, we have a couple guys that are here, 2 of them that are my 4-year track men. Been out for the team for 4 years. Dewan and Divine, you will get a special plaque here from me for 4-year competitions. And I'm going to just give these out real quickly to you guys as I move through here. You guys are in alphabetical order according to height, right? Okay. All right. Oh, I think you are. You're not the young guy. And one more award here. I sort of threw this all into one, sort of like Coach Buster did. This guy was a heck of a performer, most improved. And like I say, a big multitasker, and he may be good at the drums, but he's a heck of a lot better at the shot put this year. So we got a most improved award and Coach's Recognition Award to Jalen Cooper. Thank you. And now I'd like our tennis coach, Mr. McGuire, to come to the stage, please.
Good evening. How are we? Good, good, good. Well, I've found that it's been a good season when you can't wait to start working for next season. And that's the way that I felt about our season this year. We had a very young team this year, a couple of freshmen, several sophomores, a couple of juniors, and then I got to tell you, our senior guys really stepped up this year. I had some very large shoes to fill this year, replacing my predecessor, and I came in with an idea of what I wanted to do, and quickly, Mr. Colatino was there to tell me, no, that's not how we do things. this is how we do things. Which was very welcome, and I thank you, Cully. You have definitely helped me, for sure. For all the parents, I want to just say to you, you should see the difference between the first van ride that we had together with everybody having their headphones in and nobody saying anything, and our most recent van trip where we all kind of talked together as a group and as a community. So we kind of built the team over the course of the season. Cully has said at the very beginning of the season, we were just a group of people who liked to play tennis at the same time. But we worked very, very hard in order to be a real tennis team. And I think that if you'll ask any of the guys sitting in this second row, that they will definitely tell you that that's the case. We came out with a pretty good season. We came out 4-5, which is not bad. We went to Hawken, to the Ohio, to the Hawken tournament, and played in a 6-school tennis tournament. And we had 2 boys, 2 freshmen, as our number 2 doubles team. And they fought really, really, really hard. And that was Charles Zhu and Charlie Bitzer, who unfortunately could not be here tonight. So we have a lot of potential in our lineup, and I'm very, very excited, again, to start working for next season. So, without further ado, let me bring up all the boys who have earned letters and just kind of echo something that Mr. Yoder said, which is, boys, if you're here and you did not earn a letter, that doesn't mean that you didn't do a good job. That means keep working, and I'm excited for you guys to have that opportunity next season. So up on stage, please join me. Aiden, Tony Wang, Guy Rahau, Kevin Liu, Cully Colatino, Xavier Jemison, Bob Zhang, and Chi Zhang. What can I say about some of these boys? Where to start? Okay, let's start with Chi. So Chi is a senior, and Chi came to me, I think in like October, maybe, and found me in my classroom and said, "Hi, Coach, I'm your captain." And just looked me straight in the eye. And I said, oh, okay. I quickly realized that that's kind of Chi's personality, both on the court and off the court, very direct and very intense and in the moment. Chi had a great season this year. At the Hawken tournament, he ended up coming within 2 points of beating the number 3 from University School, which is a very large achievement, and winning 2 matches at the Hawken tournament. Bob Zhang. Bob has been our, let's say, enforcer, maybe, this season, keeping the freshmen and Aiden in line as much as he possibly could, chasing them around the court. Also a very successful season. Mighty Mouse. Now, Aiden Gillespie, I've started calling him Mighty Mouse, and I think that's going to continue, at least until somebody tells me to stop. Aiden has also had a very successful season. I'll tell you the difference between Aiden the first day of practice and the difference in Aiden now is tremendous. Also thanks to Cully working with Aiden and Charlie on their swings. So Aiden has a bright future in leadership with our community, and I'm very, very excited, again, to start working. Kevin really likes to hit the ball hard. Really, really hard, don't you, Kev? Yeah. Kevin's idea of playing the net is hit it as hard as he possibly can at the other player so that the other player can't return it. Tony, I like to call Tony the wall, right? Because Tony doesn't really let anything get by him. Tony has to make contact with the ball. He'll chase anything and everything down. Has been on every doubles team that we've had, I think, the whole season. And then there's Guy. So have you guys ever seen somebody playing tennis on a lazy Sunday afternoon and just, maybe hit the ball here and there? That's how Guy plays, except he hits the ball 90 miles an hour. but that's his attitude, and people don't really know what to do with that. So Guy, I won every match that he played except for one, I believe, has been a really, really valuable asset to the team this year. Skip you. Xavier. Xavier played doubles for us this season. He ran track last season, but decided to come home and play tennis for his senior year, and I'm so glad that he did. And now, last but not least, Mr. Colatino. I don't know how this season would have gone without Cully. He came to me mid-season and said, we need to change some things, let's have a talk, which is generally not what you hear a player saying to a coach, right? Generally, that's not the case. But Cully has really, really shown an interest with helping out with the younger guys, really being the enforcer of, here are the rules, we need to build some community, let's kind of stick together, let's sit together, let's eat together, let's build that really trust and that community. And when I think of a captain, Cully embodies every single part of that every day. So I'm going to hand out your little pieces of paper here. So I have two more pieces of paper to give out. The first one is the Coach's Award. Now, on every team that I've coached in the past, this has been the person who has shown the most leadership for the future, right? So not a senior, typically a sophomore or junior who has the potential to help the team really, really develop in the next few years. And this young man has definitely embodied that. He has been the one keeping the kids in line, saying, no, that's out. No, that's not how we play. No, this is, you're doing this incorrectly in the right way. And I'm really excited to have him continue to be on my team, and just a great player overall, and that is Aiden Gillespie. And I don't think it's a surprise who our MVP is going to go to tonight. MVP typically stands for Most Valuable Player. In this case, that is not true. MVP stands for Most Valuable Person on the team. Not only is he a great player, not only is he a great coach and a great teacher, but he is also a great person and has really helped to kind of steady the boat of this team and bring us all together. And there's no doubt in my mind, we all know that this is going to Cully Colatino. Cully, would you say some words, please?
Sure. This year, the returning players saw big shoes that Mr. McGuire needed to fill. Mr. Shapiro had left a large legacy that we thought might be impossible to fill. But somehow, in his own unique way, Mr. McGuire rose to the challenge. At times, there would be some headbutting between the returning players and our new coach, mainly because we weren't adapting well to the new drills or coaching techniques. But naturally, it took time to get used to those things. As the weeks rolled on, things began to pick up and become more routine. Before we knew it, we were operating like a true machine again. Our matches this season went really well. Though we may have lost more matches than we won, we didn't necessarily keep that in the forefront of our minds. We looked to focus more on the fact that with every match we played, significant steps of improvement were taken. So much so that it was becoming very noticeable amongst the teammates. In the course of one weekend, we saw Chi go from 0 to hero of the Hocken tournament.
He became the crowd favorite. We were improving at such a high rate that it was clear how much better we were getting with every passing match. During one afternoon practice, Aiden and Charlie worked like dogs to perfect new grips and techniques they had been taught earlier that day. There was consistent improvement with every rally and point that pass they played during that practice. The next day, we had a match. Aiden and Charlie were teammates. They were playing at number 1 doubles, I believe. And this was new for them. They hustled through every set and every point and used their new techniques as best as they could, and they came out with their closest match to date. I have such an admiration for my teammates. These boys are driven. And if you have ever witnessed a practice, then you would know that this is evident. These boys leave it all out on the courts every day. Those courts this season were the definition of trash talk and rivalry, which only fueled our hunger. The fire within these boys to be greater than their competitors and move up the rankings ladder drove them to blisters and pure exhaustion every single practice, every day. For example, the hockey tournament. We were down our top player because he decided to go to Chainsmokers, and everyone was playing up a level, knowing that we would come into every match as an underdog. But that never caused us to waver. We still played every point like it was our last, running and diving for everything hit our way till sweat was pooling on the court. This is what I mean when I talk about fire within these boys. Their passion for the sport. It's about grit. And these boys know grit. I want to thank my teammates from the bottom of my heart. As most of you may know, I tend to lean more on the side of a antisocial introvert when it comes to getting out on campus and opening up to people. This year you guys really pulled me out of my shell, and I couldn't thank you guys more for that. You helped me grow as a person and a player, and I'm proud to call you guys my brothers. And to you, Doc, Mr. McGuire, thank you for stepping up to the occasion and filling those big shoes. I speak for all of us when I say we truly appreciate your guidance, your coaching, your credit card, and wisdom that will last a lifetime. Kiski, it has been an honor to play in your courts these past 3 years. I will never forget where I sprouted my roots and where I started my journey to becoming a man. Thank you so much. And I'd like to invite Mr. Spahn up, I'm assuming.
All right, to start off, I want to thank Mr. Stock for his help this year. He joined us this year on the varsity staff for the first time, and we enjoyed having him. Also want to thank my wife and daughters for all their support, coming to the games and traveling with us. Also want to thank all the parents. Every game we had cases of Gatorade, coolers with ice, and Mr. Manko with the gummy bears and everything else. And it was nice because literally not much water got drank. It's because I always had the Gatorades, the bottled water, and that was very appreciative. I know the Tackets and Commandants, and I'm forgetting other people. I think the Wickers who might be watching, they brought stuff, but thanks to all the parents who brought the things. Also, I guess Mr. Howard, he's sitting there expecting thanks because he's leaving. So this is kind of my time to say what I really want to say. Mr. Howard's been together with me, I think, for 5 years. I've been in a lot of hotel rooms with him over the last 5 years. He's very fickle. Things had to be perfect. And I tell him all the time, if he ever has children, to please send me videos because his life will change dramatically and clothes will get messy and ties will get messy and all his free time will be gone. To watch him warm the goalies up is really an ordeal. The stretching process, the jogging, the limbering up, it's really all about Coach Howard a lot of time before games. And he'll lie, but he keeps stats of how many goals he scores. Dave, take the headband off again, just still watching you. And has many, many stats he has kept over the years. So thank you, Mr. Howard. You're welcome. Currently, the team is 13-8 with one game to play. That's Tuesday against Mercersburg. You know, it's by far the most difficult schedule I think that, you know, the lacrosse team has played in our 13 years of existence. And I think we've played some pretty tough schedules over the year. You know, out of the 22 games we'll play this year, quite honestly, you know, I go through with the coaches. You know, I call games bunnies, what games I think we'll definitely win. And we really came up with 2 this year that we thought we would definitely win. And the 20 were kind of up for, you know, what was going to happen 50-50. You know, some of the teams that we've beaten this year, the number 4 team in North Carolina, we beat the very first game of the season in overtime. We beat the number 7 and 10 teams in Ohio, and we beat the number 3 and 4 teams in Canada. Some of the teams we've lost to this past weekend, we lost the number 1 team in Ohio, up Arlington, who won the Midwest tournament 10-3. We lost 12-8 in a really hard-fought game. It was 6-5 at halftime. Just couldn't pull it out. And then played the number 2 team in Ohio on Saturday and lost 10-6, and again, played really well. And not to make excuses, I think it's awesome to go to these events. You know, we're a school of 200 boys, you know, and we have 22 varsity players, and you watch St. X get off the bus with 40 guys, 4 goalies, you know, 28 coaches. It's fun to compete, by far being the smallest school in this Midwest tournament, you know, being in the A bracket. You know, I think it's a real credit to these kids, because they don't really care who they play. They just want to play good teams. We also played the number 2 team in the country, lost 14-13. Yep, that may seem bad, but you look at their schedule and who they beat, and they beat the number 1 team in Michigan. They put up 35 goals in 2 games. They beat the number 1 team in the country. So, you know, losing to cover 14-13 after playing the night before, I thought was pretty respectable. Also, beginning of the year, we played a team called Stab out of Virginia. They've been in the top 20 on and off all year. The number 4 currently in Virginia, lost them 12-7, and the kids really played great. You know, we've played games this year in the states of Indiana, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, New York, Ohio, and PA. You know, and the one thing I tell the kids, maybe not enough, is that, you know, I'm impressed how they handle the pressure, because every team we played, we got their best game. You know, and the constant grind. I mean, it's a grind. You know, you're going to school. We're not a sports academy. We're not, you know, just going to school in the afternoon for 3 classes and lifting all morning and then practicing and then taking a PE class. You know, they're in class for 6 hours a day, and then, you know, going to practice, then study hall. You know, and I'm really impressed what they've done against really top-level national competition. Some of our highlights this year, I briefly mentioned, we played in the tournament called the King of Spring Tournament in Durham, North Carolina. You know, we played Lake Norman, number 4 in North Carolina. Played Macaulay, who's like top 7 right now in Tennessee. Should have beaten them. That was a bad one. Up 5-2 at half, lost 8-5. Did hit 6 pipes in the second half, which, God, was really awful. And then played Stab in snow in Durham on a Sunday, and the kids played awesome. We beat St. Michael's out of Canada, really, you know, kicked their butt at home, which was awesome for the first time. Beat Mount Lebo at home. You know, voted on the A bracket, the smallest male population of any school in the Midwest tournament, and got voted in the A bracket, which was pretty awesome. Won the Nichols tournament, the plaque is there. And really, I thought it was going to be tough, and the kids really played well and really, I don't know, I mean, really destroyed both teams in those games, and I thought that'd be, you know, 50-50. And then the awesome thing was that we scared Shady Side so badly that twice they canceled on us this year. And their coach would not even talk to me at the MSLC tournament this weekend. Would not talk to me, would not look at me. And they went 0-2 in the worst bracket, just to get that out there. I'm gonna announce some letter winners. I'm gonna announce someone first. His head's big enough, but he's already been up here once today. But Jalen Cooper, your letter's not ready yet, because you just kind of earned it this weekend. But a bunch of kids came up to me this weekend and really said, you know, Jalen should get it. You know, we lost our backup goalie, and then we lost the starting JV goalie to injury. And then next thing you know, Jalen's volunteering, and Jalen, heck, he played against Indiana for us. He had to jump in against St. Andrews and was not happy going in, but God, he did, but got off the field really quick, fastest he's run ever. And then he actually got into the game on Friday when TJ got a penalty, and he ran right out there. He was, you know, I don't think he was thrilled to go out there, but he did it. And listen, it's not easy playing lacrosse goalie. He only had about 3 weeks of practice to face those shots that are going that fast. It takes a lot of credit. So, Jalen, come on up, but I'll get you a letter to you on Monday. Wow. It's like a double letter winner. It's pretty impressive. So I'm going to announce everybody and bring them up. Just hold your applause and leave the letters. Coach Howard, you please grace the stage with your presence, and you can hand the letters out for me. A.J. Campbell, Caleb Commandant, who never smiles, but he might smile right now. Quinn Commandant, that's his brother. Connor Dent. There you go. This is Connor's. Matthew DiGirolamo, who will be dressed impeccably. Hunter Dunlop, who probably, look at it. Luke Farco. Grady Fagan. Ben Foster. Benjamin Gardner. Oleanka Jimba. He is not here. Peyton Manko. The only guy wearing a blue shirt, I believe. Moses Moran. Liam Moran. Neil Pierce. Wilson Smith. Matt Wickers. He's walking up by himself without AJ or Hunter. Might be dramatic for him. You can do it, Matt. You can do it. Sam Tackett, who I often call Ben when I'm yelling at him. I apologize for that now. There you go, Samuel. And I believe that is it. Oh, two more. TJ Spahn and Christian Spahn. You know, kind of like Coach Muster, I don't have an MVP. I have a couple awards to give out. I just want to speak briefly about the kids. I'm not as good as Coach Yoder, just off the cuffs. I have a couple things written down. But really, at any given time, every game, someone stepped up. Could have had like 8 MVPs. I don't like watering it down. So, you know, guys stepped up when they had to, and I appreciate that. I would say first, Oleanka. I mean, most of the guys on this stage have been recruited. You know, there's a lot of work in getting the guys here. And Oleanka just kind of shut up. And I remember, you know, Mr. Griffin, if you all remember Mr. Griffin, I'm sure you do, saying, hey, I got this kid that plays hockey, lacrosse, he's going to be good. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see. Last year, you know, I'm not picking Oleanka. It wasn't, you know, you did okay. Where are you? But this year really stepped up to the point where the last 8, 9 games, like, he was our face-off guy and did really well at all times. This week, and I think he took almost every face-off, or maybe 3. He got a little slash to the knee and was dramatic, throwing his gloves and stick, but after that, he was kind of right back in there for us. So our most improved this year is Oleanka. Then we have just two other, a lot of guys. These two guys, Caleb Commandant and Christian Spahn, are both freshmen. They're roommates, very opposites. But I will say they both were top 5 on the team in penalties as freshmen, which is not the greatest thing in the world, but kind of shows you how they really didn't think they were freshmen. You know, both these guys were voted honorable mention, all MSLCA this weekend. So out of 16 teams, there are only 2 freshmen to get it, and that's the other coaches voting, so other 15 coaches vote on what they've heard, what they've seen, or game film. So those 2 guys were voted honorable mention this year as freshmen, and they both played a lot for us on defense this year, which I thought was pretty good. Peyton Manko, you know, a 3-year player for us, has signed a national letter of intent to play at Mercyhurst. Really good program. As Peyton will complain about it, they didn't make the tournament this year, but it was very close. They've been on the tournament the last couple of years. But a real good school, a real good team. It's got the perfect program for him. You know, Peyton's worked hard. He's gotten a lot bigger. When he first got here, he wasn't as big as he is now, but he's worked hard, you know, and I would think, besides being a good kid, a hard worker, a really good teammate, not the kind of guy to get down on people, he's also a very good stringer of sticks. So a lot of the juniors here and sophomores and freshmen are very worried with Peyton leaving and are wondering if they're going to give their sticks to Mr. Manko to bring up to Mercyhurst next year and then have to bring them back down to the kids, but I know they're trying to figure it out. So Peyton Manko. Honorable mention, all MSCLA too, as a midfielder. Zach Lewis is not here, but he was a captain for us this year, played really hard. Good kid most of the time. Wilson Smith, 2-year starter for us, is committed to Montclair State next year. You know, he worked hard every day in practice. He was that real aggressive kid, you know, and that kind of transmitted over to the game. You know, played hard all the time, really played well this weekend. And he was voted second team all MSLCA this season, and I wish him the best of luck over the next 4 years. Wilson. Ben Gardner's been a 4-year player for us and is committed to play lacrosse in Hamilton. He's also a team captain. Ben also received 4 letters in golf, which I say that because I'm very proud that most of these guys letter in second sports and also do well academically. Ben has been around the Spahn family a lot over the years. You know, Mr. Muster was saying about boys that he's known. Ben, we've known him probably since he was, I don't know, I guess probably 7th grade, 6th grade. And, a couple of memories of Ben is in 2013 watching the Pens-Bruins conference championship. And for a small guy, I get that big frizzy head, and he's sitting right in front of my TV, and it's double overtime, and I can't see the TV, and I think I yelled an expletive at him, sorry, Gardner family, to move his head out of the way so I could see the game. Also, what's fun about Ben, I think everybody knows that he's very dramatic, and it's fun to get him going, and I enjoy that very much. But Ben was voted second team all MSCLA, and last year, he missed a good portion of the season with a collarbone injury, and to come back this year and play so well is great. He's also the recipient of our 4-year award, and I also look forward to watching him over the next 4 years at Hamilton. Matt DiGirolamo, first year with us, also lettered in hockey. Matt was voted first team all MSCLA by the coaches over the weekend. And really, I think that came the last 7 or 8 games of the season where he kind of started playing big. And, if you look at him, his hair is slicked back, he's dressed the nines, but he was kind of playing that way in the field, kind of like that nice and polite gentleman, and kind of to get him to be a little nasty out there. And finally he did. And this weekend, I think, kind of proved that. We played St. X on Saturday, and 2 of the starting middies were 6'5", humongous human beings. And I think every team in Ohio is humongous for some reason, and we played them all. And Matt was clearing the ball this weekend, and literally, that 6'5" kid, he dropped him, ran right over him on a clear, went down, and I think we scored in a fast break. But it showed how just he kind of got tougher, his mentality, and got more confident. So I'm really excited about the things he'll accomplish next year as a senior. So Matt was first team all MSLCA this year as well. I'm almost done getting there. TJ Spahn was voted first team all MSLCA this past weekend. He's earned letters in hockey, soccer, and cross country as well. Also served as a captain for us this year. He has started every game for us the past 2 seasons and half the games as a freshman. I would say he is probably the best behaved Spahn on the roster, but he is still by far the second best goalie in the family. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm looking forward to having him, again next year between the pipes for us, and then watching him play in college. It'll be fun to just kind of be a dad and watch him play. So, TJ Spahn, no one's going to clap for you. Yeah. 3 more people. Hunter Dunlop, and he is shaven and looks good today. He was second team all MSLCA last year. I thought that was kind of a crock. This year, he's first team all MSCLA. He's earned letters in hockey. And honestly, Hunter has shut down every top attackman he's played this year. We played a kid from BU, from University School on this last Saturday. I think the kid had 1 goal, and that was a man-up situation. And then the next day, the kid, he was coming from Hobart, and that kid didn't score. I think Hunter just isn't the flashy type of kid, but just he's big, strong, does his job, doesn't get beat. And the biggest thing I told Hunter that I was proud of him for is that, I asked him to start making guys around him better. And he worked with, we had 2 sophomores, we had 2 freshmen, we had a sophomore on defense, a junior on defense. It's a lot of madness going on back there. Kids are messing up, and Hunter was kind of that calming influence. So as goofy and the wise cracks that he makes walking around every day, he's that intelligent and that mature on the field, which was a big help this year. He's going to RIT next year. They're number 2 in the country, right now, a really good program. And I think he's a real shot of, getting some playing time. So he was first team this year, and I look forward to watching him play over the next 4 years as well. Probably his best friend in the world that I think if he's not with him, he's very sad, Matt Wickers. Matt's right, is Matt next to him? Whoa, sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. You know, Matt was voted to the first team again this year, 2 years in a row getting that. He also finished third in Player of the Year voting, which is pretty impressive, you know, in a team of 16 leagues. Matt has earned varsity letters in football, hockey, and lacrosse. And I think Matt actually came here to play football, and thank God he played lacrosse for us, because he was an outstanding safety his junior year for the Kiski Cougars. Matt this weekend really showed how strong of a player he is, and really how much he's developed the last 2 years. You know, another kid that's really gotten bigger, worked hard in the weight room. And I know, and he's staring at me now, like, you know, I've ridden him really hard, maybe the hardest out of anybody the last 2 years. You know, but to see what he did this weekend, you know, I think on Saturday he was 4-2. I think he was 3-1 on Friday against really good competition and getting pulled and guys knowing that 13 was our big guy. You know, so all the dirty looks he's given me, all the shrugged shoulders and mumbling, it was really worth it to watch how he played this season and in particular this weekend against really good competition. We're walking up the field, guys are asking me, who is he? And coaches asking me, you know, me telling him, oh, he's already set, going places. But he really played well. He's committed to RIT as well next year. It'll be fun to watch him develop over the next 4 years, you know, as a man, as a student, as a player. But also when he graduates, you know, everybody up here knows, maybe you people aren't as lucky, but I think the parents do, that Matt will definitely get into broadcasting after college, because no one gives ongoing narrative of a game better than Matt. I mean, Matt's actually playing the game and he will tell you what's going on. His mouth never stops, but he was first team All-League and going to RIT next year. Then last, Quinn Commandment was second team last year, voted all MSLCA this past weekend. Quinn's earned letters in hockey, you know, obviously as well as lacrosse. One of our captains this season as well. And Quinn really got better every season. You know, sophomore year came in January. You know, I think it was just shell shock kind of coming in mid-year. Had a solid season for us. Last year really picked up, and this year was outstanding. Kind of our quarterback back there, calms things down if things are getting a little hectic. But it's that calming influence, doesn't get too excited, doesn't get too down. He's also going to RIT next year. It seems like half our team is going there, number 2 in the country, so that's really good. But I look forward to watching him play the next 4 years and develop, and I'm glad we have one more, you know, Commandment here as well. But our Coaches Award goes to Quinn Commandment. You guys can get down. And then Ben Gardner will speak on our behalf. I did read his speech. If he doesn't veer from it, it's a pretty good one and not very long.
Hello. First of all, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the amazing mothers here tonight. Thank you for always supporting us. I'd like to thank the guys on the team for making this year so enjoyable. One thing that I love about this team in particular, despite how it may drive Coach Spahn insane at times, is that the boys are always looking to have a good time. Whether it's before a big and stressful game or on the way home after a win or loss, you guys were always cracking jokes and chirping. And if there's one thing this team loves to do more than anything, it's chirp. For those of you who are not familiar with the term, chirping is the process of ripping on others in order to get into their heads. Now, I would like to say that this habit of ours stays within the confines of those who play. However, the 2 biggest chirpers on our team are Coach Spahn and Coach Howard. The majority of our practices start with a Lewis or a young Christian Spahn saying something to get one of the 2 going in the huddle. They then proceed to target 1 or 2 individuals depending on the day. Don't worry, everyone gets their day. To chirp. AJJ, has gotten his fair share of chirping as initially being called the human highlight reel. Lewis gets chirped every day because he never stops chirping himself. And Coach Spahn never backs down from a challenge. Coach Howard liked to tell me throughout my 4 years here that if he were eligible, he would take my spot on attack any day. The laid-back nature of our team off the field, combined with the do-or-die mentality on the field, is what made this year stand out. No matter what situation we found ourselves in, these guys never quit. We played some of the top programs in the nation and always stepped up to show them we can compete. When we found ourselves in early first-half deficits, we always clawed our way back. Actually, as the coaches would tell you, we were much better at coming back from behind than we were at keeping a lead. We like to make some games closer than they should be at times. In the end, we had a successful year of very competitive lacrosse. I'd like to thank Coach Spahn and Coach Howard for preparing all of us for college, both on and off the field. Coach Howard, I know you'll thrive in your new position warming up the goalies for the varsity team next year at Boys Latin. You have a few good years left in you of pinning corners before you retire. Don't let them go to waste. Lastly, I'd like to thank the guys on the team one last time for making this year a memorable one. One last thing is, we'd like to show you a video, a short video really quickly of just how strenuous Coach Howard's job is, warming up the goalies and stretching. You know, it's a really hard thing for him to do, and it's going to be impossible to replace him next year. And afterwards, please join us upstairs for refreshments and cake. Thank you.
I'm inspired right now. Someone grab their stick and go out and play with it.
It never stops.
There.
We'll go, so, you know, same thing here, ball's here, gets me here, this guy goes, gets me, this guy goes, ball behind them.